Greetings, brave adventurers, and welcome back to the channel. This is I, Eric's UK. Today, we are looking at the 2.5 types of player you do not want to be. I'm going to start off with the nice bit and say if you and your group are these sort of players, then you do you. It's no harm, no foul. But from my personal experience, these are the people, 2.5 types, and I explain the half, you don't want to be. Number 1, the actor. Role-playing, this has always been part of the hobby. People put on silly voices, people pretend, and get into their character. And that's fine up to a point. It's not something I particularly am fond of. I think role-playing your character simply means you are playing a role. You are Ragnar the Barbarian, or you're Pardieu the Holy Man, or you're Presto the Wizard. Getting into the whole voices thing, I don't really think that's needed in a game. But the actor takes this even further. The actor thinks that they are Sir Laurence Olivier. They are strutting the boards at the Royal Shakespeare Company, and they are chewing the scenery to death. If this is something that your group does, and everybody's involved in it, or nobody objects to it, then absolutely fantastic. But I wouldn't personally be in a group where you had a player that was so... It takes away the immersion of me in the game, and it takes away some of the fun. I'm just sitting there going, you are really, really annoying. And I can't be the only one that feels that way. So, rein it in a little bit. It's all cool. All my dwarves are Scottish. I do that rather in the character introduction, in the session 0, whatever. But then I don't do the Voight City accent. I don't try and do a Scottish accent. I can't even do an English accent. Just role play your game, role play your character. You don't need to go full lovey, darling, and into it. Number 2 is the optimizer. Prior to the release of 3rd edition Dungeons and Dragons and the D20 system, you never really had the optimizer. There were options in 2nd edition once you started getting the complete books series, but it never really was a thing, and it certainly didn't exist in 1st edition or basic. But ever since then, it's kind of been a thing. And the 3rd edition game system and then Pathfinder has really pushed the optimizer. And the optimizer doesn't just play their character, they overly tune their character. And a lot of this came because we had players coming into the hobby in the early 2000s from the growing MMO community online. And in MMOs, you have to have the best. You have to be the best of the best, volume 1, in order to be any good at the game and to do the quests and so on. And the optimizer brought that in because the D20 system is all about the modular aspect of the game. You can take this, you can take that, and once you know how it all works, you can do it. My group and I aren't really into that sort of thing. We never were. Things obviously changed during Pathfinder, which was a much more optimized system. You had to do it or you didn't get anywhere. But we had problems with a player in early 3rd edition to the point where he actually ruined the first campaign that I ran and really upset the rest of the players because he just buffed himself and made himself so silly that the final boss was killed in like 2 swings by his character. And we were all so taken aback, we didn't really know what to do. Don't be that guy. It's all right to have a plan for your character. It's all right to make sure you're good at what you do. But when you take it too far, you end up with either the DM basically giving the whole party a cakewalk because, hey, the optimizer kills everything, or they make it too difficult for everybody else who isn't optimizing. Again, if your table, your group is all optimizers, or you're quite happy with this, then you do you. Fantastic. But I find most groups aren't like that, and most groups do not like to have players who are overly optimizing their characters to the extent and exclusion of everybody else. So that's 2. So what's the 0.5? The 0.5 is the rules lawyer. The player who sits there and basically goes, that's not how the rules work. The rules say this. You're changing the rules. Rules are as written. Rules are as stone. And they're not. The rules lawyer is really irritating for a lot of DMs and a lot of players as well. The DM needs to make snap judgments. They may need to make decisions. And the rules lawyer gets in the way of that. And they argue and it spoils the game. Why do I say this is a 0.5? Well, actually, as a dungeon master, having a rules lawyer can actually be a huge godsend. Because if you can't think of a rule, you can go, Bob, how does this work? And they go, ooh, and they tell you, or they know where to look in the book, and they can look it up for you. And suddenly they don't feel they're being chastised for knowing the rules and learning the game. They're actually being praised for their knowledge. So it can work being a rules lawyer. But for the most part, you don't want to do that. You don't want to be arguing with a DM. You don't want to be a know-it-all. Use that skill to help the table, to help your dungeon master, help your fellow players, but don't come at it as though the rules are set in stone, because they are not. The DM needs to make calls. They need to make decisions based on situations in the game. But there are obviously other potential options, but those are my 3 choices. Do not be those players if you can help it. Enjoy your role playing. Enjoy killing the monsters, kicking in the door and stealing their treasure. And it's good if you can help the table with the rules. Otherwise, sometimes you're just going to be an irritant to the rest of the people playing at your table, and you don't want that. That's today's topic. Thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing your comments down below. Until next time, take care. Good gaming.